The Fine Art of War, World War I Propaganda Images. Textbook entry. The Great War begins. Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo, Bosnia in 1914 by a Serbian partisan. This event was the spark that ignited the tinderbox. Long-simmering international resentments intensified. A complex and befuddling maze of military alliances erupted into the world's first global conflict, World War I, 1914 to 1918. The United States was neutral for the first 3 years, but by 1917, events like the torpedoing of passenger ships by German U-boats, submarines, took a gross toll on civilian lives. President Woodrow Wilson declared war. Now the United States was one of the Allies, along with France, Great Britain, Russia, Italy, and Japan. The war at home. When the United States entered the war, its publicity machine went into overdrive to induce public support. In a speech to the nation, President Wilson said, "The world must be made safe for democracy." With that clarity of vision, Wilson debuted the new Committee on Public Information, CPI. It was led by journalist George Creel, a boisterous supporter of America's war effort. Creel hired 150,000 writers, actors, artists, and others to help drum up American support for the war. CPI planned a clear agenda. It had plenty of freedom and leeway in its efforts. It presented pro-war speeches, articles, pamphlets, books, and films. Division of Pictorial Publicity. The CPI staffers were successful in getting the message out, but there were still Americans out of reach. So Creel created the Division of Pictorial Publicity. It is said that a bad cause requires many words. Creel needed few words for his mission. He hired well-known artists and illustrators to create posters and advertisements for the war effort. Now newspapers and magazines were full of powerful images. They urged citizens to join the Army or Navy, buy bonds, knit socks for soldiers, and conserve scarce food. James Montgomery Flagg created some of the most memorable posters. His famous "I Want You" image of Uncle Sam compelled young men to enlist. These patriotic messages worked. Soon war fever swept the country. The war to end all wars ends. In 1918, the gory war came to an end. It left 8.5 million dead and 20 million wounded. Germany signed a peace treaty that required it to vacate occupied countries and reimburse money to war victims. The harsh penalties forced the defeated nation to be compliant. With the end of the war came the end of the Committee on Public Information. CPI's U.S.-based work ended on November 11, 1918. Its overseas operations ended 8 months later. Its images are still used and still powerful today.
Agenda. Agenda. Agenda is a noun meaning the program for a meeting, or an outline or plan of things to be done or considered. Everyone attending a conference may be given a detailed agenda of activities and meetings. Or, a year of study in a foreign country may be part of your college agenda. Now you say agenda. Repeat the word. Amiable. Amiable. Amiable is an adjective meaning friendly or good-natured. A meeting may be amiable even though controversial issues are being discussed. And two teammates may have an intense but amiable rivalry. Now you say amiable. Try the word again.
Befuddle. Befuddle. Befuddle is a verb meaning to confuse. Income tax forms may befuddle you the first time you try to fill them out. And extreme fatigue may befuddle a person's brain. Now you say befuddle. Repeat the word.
Blight. Blight. Blight functions as two parts of speech. It can be a noun meaning a disease that causes plants to wither and die, or a condition of disease or ruin. Many people consider large highway billboards a blight on the landscape. And a mysterious blight may be killing the trees in your town park. Or blight can be used as a verb that means to destroy or ruin. Acid rain blights crops and rivers. And drugs and alcohol blight many young lives. Now it's your turn. Say blight. And again. Boisterous. Boisterous. Boisterous is an adjective meaning cheerfully rough and noisy or high-spirited. During recess, a group of school children may engage in boisterous play, and supporters of a winning candidate may have a boisterous celebration on election night. Now it's your turn. Say boisterous. Once again. Clarity. Clarity. Clarity is a noun meaning clearness or accuracy. A defense attorney may argue her case with clarity and forcefulness. Or a singer may receive special praise for the clarity of her or his diction. Now let's hear you say clarity. Try the word again. Compliant. Compliant. Compliant is an adjective meaning willing to do what someone else wants, or obedient. A compliant person may be anxious to please others. Also, parents may wish their children were more compliant. Your turn. Say compliant. One more time. Conserve. Conserve. Conserve is a verb meaning to preserve, to keep from being damaged, lost, or wasted, or to save. Many zoos are participating in international efforts to conserve endangered species. And athletes who compete in a triathlon need to conserve their strength in order to complete all 3 events. Now let's hear you say, conserve. And again. Debut. Debut. Debut functions as 2 parts of speech. It can be used as a noun that means a first public appearance or a formal entrance into society. A play that is a hit in London may make its Broadway debut the following year. Debut can also be used as a verb meaning to make a first appearance. A new television series may debut as a Sunday night movie. Well, it's your turn now. Say debut. Repeat the word. Gory. Gory. Gory is an adjective meaning very bloody or marked by bloodshed, slaughter, or violence. You may use red paint to make your Halloween costume look gory. Or gory combat scenes may be cut from a film when it is shown on television. Now it's your turn. Say gory. Once more.
Gross. Gross. Gross can be used as 3 parts of speech. It can be an adjective meaning vulgar, very noticeable, or total. Many people are offended by gross jokes. Or gross can be a noun meaning an overall total or 12 dozen. An office manager may order a gross of red pencils. Gross can also be a verb that means to earn. A blockbuster movie may gross millions of dollars over a single weekend. Now you try the word. Say gross. Once more.
Induce. Induce. Induce is a verb meaning to cause or to persuade. Exposure to dust and pollen may induce an allergic reaction in some people. And a clever advertising campaign may induce you to buy something you don't really need. Now let's hear you say induce. Try the word again. Leeway. Leeway. Leeway is a noun meaning extra space for moving along a route, allowance for mistakes or inaccuracies, or margin of error. It is advisable to give yourself an hour's leeway when traveling to an airport to catch a plane. Also, in a cake recipe, there is usually no leeway to change the proportions of key ingredients. Now you say leeway. Repeat the word. Limber. Limber. Limber functions as two parts of speech. It can be used as a noun that means flexible. It is important for a figure skater to be both strong and limber. Limber can also be used as a verb meaning to cause to become flexible. A guitarist may do special exercises to limber up his or her fingers before playing. Now it's your turn. Say limber. Once again. Maze. Maze. Maze is a noun meaning a network of paths through which it is hard to find one's way, or something very confusing. A new employee may at first have trouble finding her or his desk among the maze of offices and cubicles surrounding it. And to an untrained eye, an architect's blueprints may look like a maze. Now you say maze. Try the word again. Oracle. Oracle. Oracle is a noun meaning someone or something that can predict the future. A political oracle may forecast the results of a presidential election long before the actual voting takes place. Also, some people consider the groundhog a dependable oracle for the arrival of spring. Well, it's your turn now. Say oracle. One more time. Partisan. Partisan. Partisan functions as two parts of speech. It can be used as a noun that has several meanings, including a strong supporter, one whose support is unreasoning, or a resistance fighter. During World War II, partisans in many European countries courageously opposed the Nazis. Or, partisan can be used as an adjective that means strongly supporting one side only. The annual budget debate in Congress may be predictably partisan. Now you say partisan. Repeat the word. Reimburse. Reimburse. Reimburse is a verb meaning to pay back or to give payment for. An employee is usually reimbursed for travel expenses relating to business. And most stores will reimburse a customer for an item that has been returned. Now it's your turn. Say reimburse. Once more. Vacate. Vacate. Vacate is a verb that means to go away from, to make empty, or to void or annul. After a fire, tenants may have to vacate their apartments temporarily. Or, at the last minute, negotiators for labor and management may decide to vacate their agreement. Now you say vacate. Once again. Vagabond. Vagabond. Vagabond functions as two parts of speech. It can be used as a noun that means an idle wanderer or a tramp. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, many people who lost their jobs became homeless vagabonds. Vagabond can also be used as an adjective meaning wandering or irresponsible. Youth hostels all over the world give vagabond students an inexpensive place to sleep. Well, you know the drill by now. Say vagabond. Once again.